This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets. OPEC Plus is unlikely to tweak its current oil output policy when a panel meets on Friday, 6 OPEC Plus sources told Reuters, as tighter supplies and resilient demand drive an oil price rally. Ministers from the OPEC and allies led by Russia, known as OPEC Plus, meet on August 4. The panel, called the Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee, can call for a full OPEC Plus meeting if warranted. Oil has rallied to a 3-month high this week above $85 a barrel for Brent crude, as tighter supply and rising demand outweigh concern that interest rate hikes and stubborn inflation could hit economic growth.
The Biden administration has pulled an offer to buy 6 million barrels of oil for the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, an Energy Department spokesperson said on Tuesday, as oil prices are expected to keep rising after output cut from Saudi Arabia. The U.S. made the latest solicitation to buy the sour crude oil for the SPR on July 7. After the administration released a record 180 million barrels from the reserve last year to control prices after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the Energy Department has bought back 6.3 million barrels in recent months. The move was not a rejection of oil companies' offers to sell oil to the SPR but a decision made on market conditions, the spokesperson said.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
European Union plans to start taxing polluting aviation fuels have hit an impasse as the bloc's 27 member states struggle to agree to make green fuels cheaper and fossil fuels more expensive, diplomats said. EU countries are negotiating an overhaul of energy taxes, which haven't been updated since 2003 with their new climate change targets. But 2 years after the EU executive proposed the law to tax aviation fuels for the first time, a deal is still not in sight. Countries are at odds over issues including whether to introduce an EU-wide minimum tax for such fuels, which currently escape levies.
Oil prices surged on Wednesday, trading near their highest levels since April, buoyed by crude and fuel product inventory data showing robust U.S. demand. Brent crude futures for October were up 44 cents, or 0.5%, to $85.35 a barrel by 0949 GMT. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude for September climbed 48 cents, or 0.6%, to $81.85 a barrel. U.S. crude inventories fell by 15.4 million barrels in the week ended July 28, according to market sources citing American Petroleum Institute figures, compared with analysts' estimates for a drop of 1.37 million barrels.
Next, we have the top news in metal markets.
India's parliament on Wednesday passed a law allowing the government to auction and mine its newly discovered reserves of lithium, among other minerals, increasing the mining of the critical raw material for electric vehicle batteries. Under the law, lithium, along with other minerals, was removed from a previous list of atomic minerals, which prevented it from being auctioned to and mined by private companies. Upon removal of these minerals from the list of atomic minerals, exploration and mining of these minerals will be open to private sector, a government statement said.
Copper prices fell in London on Wednesday as weak manufacturing data and a struggling property sector in top consumer China soured sentiment, along with a stronger U.S. dollar. 3-month copper on the London Metal Exchange, LME, dropped 0.5% to $8,588 per metric ton in official open outcry trading. Copper, used in power and construction, is down 1.2% so far this week as the market waits for clarity on concrete measures by China to boost its economic recovery after the January removal of COVID curbs. We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector. Drought is expected to send global wheat stockpiles for major exporters to the lowest levels in more than a decade, a Reuters analysis shows, a decline coming as top supplier Russia intensifies its conflict with Ukraine and creates more uncertainty for importers. Farms in areas of North and South America, Europe and Australia are facing crop losses as extreme weather spreads over an unusually wide geographic area, making food production increasingly vulnerable. Escalating tensions between Russia and Ukraine have also returned concerns over food security to the forefront of grain trading and diplomacy. A Reuters analysis of U.S. estimates of wheat inventories and crop usage for 7 major exporters shows stockpile levels will dwindle to a 16-year low in 2023-24.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.